the followers at CBN, and don't get me wrong, I love the people at CBN. The base workers, tremendous people. I mean, just dedicated, they worked for basically a pittance of what they could have earned out in the real world because they worked for a ministry. Dedicated as the day is long. I'm not trying to demean them in any way, shape, or form, but the head of the dragon took the dragon in some courses that it shouldn't have ventured in, and it was sad. Probably the biggest one that affected me personally, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, was the conversion of the Family Channel cable network.
No, I remember Family Channel.
Okay. CBN started a thing called CBN Cable. They were one of the first cable, if not the first cable network to use satellites to broadcast around the world. They had a transmission center right on the grounds of CBN, and they would broadcast the 700 Club and some other religious shows. And it was built on donations. It was built on tax-exempt donations from the supporters of CBN. It started getting really popular. And so then they spun it off into what they called the Family Channel, the CBN Family Channel. And then they dropped the CBN part of it. And the Family Channel made its career out of doing reruns of old Westerns, good family programming. It was very moral, ethical. They didn't advertise on anything like that. There's a building at CBN called a corporate support building. It's a lot of administrative, bookkeeping, warehouse, things like that. And the second floor of this building housed the broadcast headquarters of the Family Channel. They had all the transmission where they would run the commercials from and the shows and everything. And a lot of the employees there, because I would walk around the building, that was part of my job as security. I'd walk around. A lot of the equipment that was being used by the Family Channel had CBN ministry property tags on them. Little red flame with an ID number. Desks, computers, chairs, lamps, whatever. So a lot of the people who were supporting CBN with their $20 a month for 700 Club were in fact paying for this equipment that was being used by the Family Channel. All of a sudden, we start hearing rumors that the Family Channel is going to go public. And we're thinking, well, how's that going to happen? I mean, I was giving $2,500 a year. I was a member of what was called the 2,500 Club. So I was giving $2,500 a month of my pay to support CBN ministry. And technically, I owned a little fractional part of all this equipment being used by the Family Channel. Well, all of a sudden, the Family Channel is going to do a IPO, an initial public offering of they're going to go sell stock and become a publicly traded entity.
Right.
So Pat and his son Tim, they get a sweetheart deal where they got $180,000 and got like a initial buy. And they bought X number of millions of shares or this thing or whatever. And I literally was with Pat the day he went down to, I think, sign some papers with his son Tim, who was the head of the Family Channel. Tim was a great guy. And we were walking to the office, and Pat had to use a restroom. And I went in with him, and I'm sitting there, and I'm frankly pissed off because I'm hearing that a lot of the upper echelon of the Family Channel are going to get these big stock bonuses, and some of them are going to become instant millionaires on paper. But the people in the ministry who did all the work to build this television network are going to get bupkis, nothing. So I asked Pat, I said, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah, what do you want to know? And I said, and I used the name of a guy who's an attorney, a great guy, Lou Isikoff, who started as an attorney for the ministry and was now working as an attorney for the Family Channel. I said, when this thing goes public, why is Lou Isikoff going to become a millionaire on paper, get a big stock bonus? And Pat says, well, that's his job. He's the attorney. That's his job. He's doing his job. I said, well, doesn't he get a salary for doing his job? You know, isn't that what he's paid for, to do all the paperwork for the corporate, transition? And he just looked at me. I said, what about the little old lady that comes in here and cleans the restroom for the chairman of the board? You. Where's her little slice of heaven?
Right.
And then I made a joke. I said, what about the ruggedly handsome bodyguard that keeps you alive so that you can run the family channel?
Right.
Me, where's my little piece? And he just stared at me. Anyway, the long and short of it, on that $180,000 stock deal that they got, Pat became a millionaire. I mean, like multiple times over. I think it was in the neighborhood of a couple $100 million.
Jesus.
And none of that trickled down to the little, as I refer to them, as the gray-haired old ladies that sent their $20 a month in, religiously, no pun intended, every month to the 700 Club that built the entire entity.
Well,